All right, let's get to the latest now on the war between Israel and Hamas. Israel's military says it conducted more ground operations into Gaza as airstrikes continue to pound the region. The health ministry in Hamas-controlled Gaza reports more than 7,000 people have been killed by airstrikes to date. The UN says 8 more aid trucks are expected to arrive in Gaza today. That's far short of what it says is needed. And fuel shortages are becoming critical, forcing several hospitals to shut down operations. Our senior international correspondent, Margaret Evans, is part of our team covering the conflict. She is in Ramallah in the West Bank this morning. So, Margaret, good to see you. Let us start with where you are right now. What's the mood like in the West Bank?
Well, the mood in the West Bank, which of course is occupied Palestinian territory, is one of anger, fear, rage. People are nervous about what the future means. They're already living under occupation, as I've just said, but they're extremely concerned for the high number of civilian casualties in Gaza. This morning, we were filming a demonstration after morning or midday prayers. It was a pro-Hamas demonstration. Now, the West Bank is governed by Fatah, the Palestinian Authority, which is a secular party, but the extent of the ferocity, if you like, of the Israeli airstrikes in Gaza is, of course, riling moods. People are seeing support for Hamas as support for resistance. Now, if you ask them about those atrocious Hamas militant attacks on October 7th, you get different answers. Some people will tell you they don't believe that Muslims would behave in that way. Other people say it was horrible, but they repeat what the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has said, is that this isn't happening in a vacuum. This is in the Gaza Strip, 16, 17 years of living under blockade imposed by Israel and by Egypt, and they said something must blow. Other people are simply worried about the future and about the violence or the war against Hamas spreading to the West Bank. There have been a lot of tensions between Israeli defense forces here and Palestinian militant groups in the West Bank. About 95 people have been killed in the West Bank since October 7th. So extremely, extremely anxious here.
Absolutely. So, Margaret, from where you are right now in the West Bank, let's talk about Gaza and you know, the worry about a full-scale ground invasion by Israel. That is a looming threat. We have already seen some Israeli action there over the past 24 hours. What is the situation on the ground in Gaza today?
Right. As you say, another Israeli ground incursion. Of course, the air campaign in Gaza, I think, is now in day 21. And we've heard from Israel Defense Forces that they plan to continue these kind of ground incursions as they prepare the way for what they say will be a ground invasion. There was an opinion poll today in one of the Israeli newspapers that found that nearly half of Israelis now believe that the government should hold off on that ground invasion. 29% want to see it go ahead. That's a change from just before those initial hostages, those 4 hostages were released about a week ago by Hamas. So there's a mood changing there, which is attributed to concern over the hostages and the ability of Israel to get them out. Of course, the impact on Gaza continues to be sounding alarm bells in aid agencies and actually capitals around the world. This high death toll, a high number of children who've been killed. And we heard actually a very powerful press conference this morning from Philippe Lazzarini of UNRWA in Jerusalem. And he spoke very movingly of the impact on families who've lost their homes, they've lost their loved ones. The journalist community has lost more than 30 journalists there, UN workers, more than 50. He said that the world seems to have turned its back on the plight of the suffering of Palestinian civilians. Have a little listen to what he described the situation to be in Gaza today.
Basic services are crumbling. Medicine is running out. Food and water are running out. What is needed is meaningful and uninterrupted aid flow. And to succeed, we need a humanitarian ceasefire to ensure this aid reaches those in need.
We are hearing also today that from the International Committee of the Red Cross that a team of surgeons and medical doctors have been or are being allowed into the Gaza Strip with some emergency operation wards, if you like. So that will be very welcome relief to the healthcare workers under so much strain in Gaza. But again, aid agencies are saying it is not enough. It is not enough.
Yeah, we keep hearing that. Margaret, we thank you for this update today. That is senior international correspondent Margaret Evans in Ramallah, the West Bank.